Hey, what's going on, family? Welcome back. Another short video, but common sense is going to be in it. We're going to be dealing with a short little topic here today. While I beef up this channel, go ahead and like it. Go ahead and subscribe to it. Much more to come. And we're going to have a Sunday live show that's going to be coming soon. Not going to promise it this Sunday, but it's definitely coming soon. So what are we going to deal with? Today, we're going to deal with how could the gospel writers, or at least some of them, know the things that they weren't around for. For instance, let me give you an example. How could Luke know what Jesus said in his prayer in Gethsemane? Because the three disciples that Jesus took with him, Peter, James, and John, they fell asleep. And not only that, in one passage it says that Jesus went a stone's throw away and prayed. Then he came again and found them sleeping again and went off and prayed for the same thing, which is interesting because why pray for the same thing, twice? He even talked about vain repetitions. And then when we look at the earliest gospel, which everybody pretty much agrees, that's going to be Mark. John Mark was not around. He was not one of the original 12. Now, what is this boiling all down to? Outside of people using what I'm going to call spookism or hocus pocus, talking about the Holy Spirit told them. There's some problems with that, but maybe we'll save that for another video, because if the Holy Spirit is involved in this, then there also shouldn't be any mistakes anywhere. When I was preaching, I used to say the Bible has many different writers, over about 40 different writers, but one author. And if it's true that it has one author and that author is God, there should be no contradictions, there should be no mistakes. But we find plenty of that. So, getting back to where we are. And so about Luke, the reason I like Luke is because Luke says straight up, he did an investigation. He did an investigation, and that's why he's writing the things that he's writing, because he went, maybe he was questioning people and they were giving him whatever answers, whatever stories he could come up with. The problem with that is in the story of Gethsemane, the only individual that could know what was said in the prayer is Jesus himself. Peter, James, and John are asleep. They're not only asleep, they're a stone's throw away, according to one of the writers. That's far away enough that even if you're not asleep, if a person is praying, unless they're yelling, you're not going to hear what it is they are saying. Let's just be real about that. But they are asleep. Now, if Mark is the earliest, and perhaps Luke could be copying the story, there's also different details that are left out of Mark that somehow Luke got. For instance, I think Mark talks about his spirit being heavy, or his soul, whatever. He was heavy. He was in agony. Luke says he was in agony. And the reason this is important is because Luke goes as far as to saying that his sweat became as great drops of blood. Okay, that is an important detail that seemed like the only way somebody would know that is if they were there. And Luke wasn't there, and Mark wasn't there. This is why some scholars seem to talk about a source called the Q source, which is this source that nobody knows if it even existed, but they come up with it because they're trying to figure out where these other details are coming from that you cannot account for within the text that we have. You can't account for some of these details within Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, which we do have. This is important because people want to say that the Holy Spirit, gave it to Mark. If the Holy Spirit gave them a story, first of all of the details and everything needed could have been included in one gospel. We didn't need 4. Everything would have been included, or could have been included. And if he wanted to show how perfect he was, he could have had one guy write and another guy write, and it all be in harmony. Unfortunately, for the Christian story, it is not all in harmony, and there's some other little contradictions going on. I'll just state one real quick right here, like the thieves on the cross. I think it is Matthew talks about how both of the thieves on the cross railed on Jesus Christ. Luke says only accounts for one of them railing on him, and Jesus says to him, you're going to be with me in my kingdom. You're going to be with me in paradise today. A lot of people try to explain that away by saying he had a change of heart, but notice that's eisegesis. That would be to read into the text, both of them, what is not there. You're just coming up with that from your own mind. You're not sticking to the text. Back to what I'm saying. So let's go slow here and realize if Mark wasn't there, Luke was not there, who or how did they get these details? I'll go even further with Luke, because in Luke 4 you have the story about Jesus being tempted by Satan to turn bread or turn stones into bread, being tempted with the kingdoms of the world, being tempted to cast himself down from a high mountain. Luke wasn't there. It supposedly was just Jesus. Now, I'm going to do a little bit more on this, and maybe we can talk about this live on a Sunday live. But the thing is, outside of the Holy Spirit, okay, the Holy Spirit leading and guiding them, and by the inspiration, okay, there's no way they would have been able to get this information. Even if they had talked to people of that day, even during the investigation, all Peter, James, and John would have been able to tell Luke and Mark was, hey, we went out there with Jesus. He went over there to pray. He came back, found us sleeping. That was it. That's all they would have been able to say. They wouldn't have been able to say he prayed that the cup passed from him, and there was great drops of sweat, or like blood. Maybe they could have saw some sweat, but the thing is, there's too many details in it that they couldn't have known, and at least as far as what was said. So where did they get this stuff? Now the logical conclusion is that they made this stuff up, and that's really where I'm going. This stuff is made up. Now, I have had a former Christian friend, a preacher, pastor out of Atlanta, actually say that Jesus told them what happened and what he prayed for after his resurrection. Now, you have to decide whether or not you believe that. There's problems with the resurrection too, but I'll do another video on that. So, are you going to be one of these that continue to believe this stuff? And I'm just pointing out simple things with what we have. I stay right there with what they have in the Bible and use these things because it shouldn't have problems, but it does. And the fact that it has problems show you that this is a work of man. This is not a work of an all-knowing, all-powerful, and all-loving entity. So this is something that I'm willing to discuss. And if you got an answer for me, put it down below. We can talk about it in the comments, and perhaps you can come on when we go live. This is Eli Taylor. Truth is my only religion. Like, share, and subscribe. Peace.